event enabling him.
Mango just 1.32!
I think he might be an alcoholic.
The Ludwig situation is sad. The Ludwig situation is terrible. I'm probably going to title the video something like that. Now, Ludwig is no stranger to this channel. He needs no introduction. He's known for his streams and, more importantly, hosting these huge events which bring communities together. And one of those events that Ludwig hosted was Mario Kart. It's not a game he invented himself, but more a kind of like university drinking game. The exact rules aren't super relevant, but basically the quick rundown is get a bunch of streamers together, play Mario Kart, drink alcohol, all while it's being live streamed. You had the usual Twitch LA scene there, Connor Eats Pants, Valkyrie, Extra Emily, as well as competitive gamers like, for example, Nick Yingling, and also who this story is most focused on, Mango. My Mango is to blow up, and I don't tell nobody. Now, to give you a bit of context to who Mango is, because you've probably seen that name mentioned quite a lot recently, he's basically considered to be one of the best Smash Melee players of all time. Although, that being said, he does main Falco. Meta slop. Anyways, he's actually considered one of the 5 gods of the game. Now, this is a bit of old head lore, but during Melee, there was an era where there was basically 5 people, 5 chosen ones that dominated the entire scene. It's a really prestigious title. There were other creators like, for example, Armada, Mewtwo King, and most notably Hungrybox. So Mango, in that regard, he's a pretty big deal, especially to the unemployed. Now, with that said as well, though, Mango has, you know, enjoyed a drink or two quite a lot, actually building his entire personality around being the guy that drinks a lot. For example, there were clips of him drinking liquor from his Evo trophy, an Evo or Evolution Championship series that basically is the biggest Melee tournament that's held, and he's using his winnings to like drink from it. I mean, you know, he's celebrating, fair enough. And this pattern also continued for Mario Kart, and during that he drank a ridiculous amount. I think by the time someone stepped in and actually cut him off, his blood alcohol was 0.32. At that point, you're likely suffering through alcohol poisoning. You could probably lose consciousness. Another 0.08 by the way for Mango, and he would have been in what is dubbed the death zone. And considering he racked up a 0.32 in the span of like 3 or 4 hours, that could be a real possibility. Although some people at the event actually denied that was the case, saying that the breathalyzers were faulty.
Real talk. The breathalyzers are not accurate. If you just had a bunch of alcohol, it spikes it way up. I blew a 0.3 earlier. I'm nowhere near that.
Your race doesn't define you.
I just want to point out,
anything.
if Mango was actually
If you
0.3,
think your gender is what stops you from succeeding,
he is not actually at that level.
But it wasn't the fact that Mango drank too much. It was the actions he took while he was inebriated. Now, I know this is old news. We're going back about a week when this originally happened. The reason why I've kind of left it so long is because I feel like we're not really going to get any more updates on this now. Ludwig recently put out a little bit of a mini statement, which I'm going to go over later, but I kind of wanted to wait for everything to be out there before actually talking about this. There was one point where he went up to Extra Emily and Maya Higa and starts thrusting, dry humping. It's clear that Maya's like pretty uncomfortable, you know, looking around for help. But apparently as well, and there's no proof of this, there was other clips that weren't actually caught on camera of him being like, you know, touchy with other people. And a lot of people actually came out and expressed how uncomfortable they were with his actions.
He was just very, very drunk. I think he might be an alcoholic, and he was very touchy with a lot of people and also dry humping everybody. There's a clip. It was completely unacceptable.
Now, as you can imagine, for Mango, this didn't go very well. He was basically banned from a bunch of future events that Ludwig and the company Mogul Moves were hosting.
And I banned him from my events because I felt I had to, because my girlfriend and my girlfriend's best friend Maya are in my room at 2 a.m. telling me that they felt really uncomfortable at my own event.
He was also banned off Twitch as well. And at the time of recording, which is about a week after all this happened, his account is still gone, which is really crazy. Again, just saying, if this was a woman, it would have been a 24-hour ban, but anyways. Now, I'm imagining that this is only a temporary ban. His account will come back at some point. But one of the worst things that probably could have happened to him was Cloud9, the esports team he was affiliated with, actually let him go, saying, following an internal evaluation, we've made the decision to release Mango from Cloud9 after becoming aware of the recent incident involving him. This is really sad. It's basically his entire livelihood gone. Far as I'm aware, his 2 main revenue streams were from Twitch and competitive gaming, and at the minute, they're both gone. And Mango issued a statement saying that he's reaching out to the people he's affected to try and make it right, while also, you know, working on himself, going to rehab, trying to fix his relationship with alcohol. Now, the opinions on Mango have been really split here. A lot of people have said he's an alcoholic alcoholic, disgusting. You should control yourself. It was no one's responsibility to take care of you. And then there are other people that are basically saying that what Ludwig and the event did was enable him because they were aware that he was like an alcoholic beforehand. And I will get into it, but like with me personally, I've always found it really weird when people get invited to event stuff and they might have like a problem with like a certain drug or like a drinking problem. And then they're basically told, you can join, but just don't do the thing that you're an addict to, despite the fact that the vice is everywhere. You know, it's the equivalent of doing something in a casino and then inviting a gambling addict and then basically saying, but you can't gamble. You just, you know, you could do anything you want, just don't gamble. And then I know some people will turn on the cope, being like, yeah, just don't gamble, just don't drink, it's so easy. And yeah, fair enough. But for some people, you know, especially if you're an addict, you're probably going to have that clawing feeling in the back of your brain constantly, you know, to the point where this isn't even fun because you're fighting this urge the entire time, this impulse, because your brain is so used to getting this release of dopamine constantly. You know, I'm not going to undermine addiction. I think no matter what addiction, it's an incredibly difficult thing to deal with, and sometimes it can be lifelong. By the way, I'm not giving Mango any kind of out here being like, well, it's really sad. He has a problem. It exonerates everything he's done. I'm not saying that at all. I don't know Mango personally. I've never spoke to the guy. But the fact that he reached out to everyone the next morning as well, I know for a fact that after the event, he must have had the most deep-seated regret, that kind of biting your jaw kind of regret waking up in the morning, just feeling absolutely terrible. Now, why is the video about Ludwig when I was talking about Mango for the first 5 minutes? Because Ludwig brings in views. No one knows who Mango is. And more importantly, a lot of people have actually been pointing the finger at Ludwig, basically blaming him for this. One clip that everyone is using to cite their sources now and to go against Ludwig is this one clip where, you know, he's basically celebrating Mango hitting a new PB, personal best, for, you know, hitting a high score on the breathalyzer.
Mango just blew a .32!
Which is basically the thing the cops use to test your blood alcohol level.
What happened, Mark?
He's waiting for a mate. He's gone in there. Why?
And then when Mango would get a higher number, Ludwig would announce it and then put it onto the whiteboard, essentially giving Mango the motivation to, you know, keep on drinking. Wait, no one's telling me to stop? People are actually congratulating me on, like, doing the thing? Oh, okay, I'm gonna keep doing it then. I mean, the thing is, the guy hits 0.14 20 minutes into the stream. And then there's a clip of Ludwig as well saying, let's get those numbers up.
Let's up those numbers!
Now, I have to be very careful with the words I choose next. If I defend Ludwig, I will be called a Hassan minion for the rest of my career. And if I go against Ludwig, I will be excommunicated from the LA Twitch scene. And there is basically a 0 chance I'll be invited to the very important and famous My Friends Awards.
The Streamer of the Year award is Ludwig.
The My Friends Awards. Maybe I'll get nominated as Rising Star on the My Friends Awards. Now, to be a Hassan minion and to look at Ludwig's, you know, defense for a second, it's a little bit reductive to say that he was the only one encouraging Mango to drink. Like, for example, if you just look at this clip.
We got a new PB! Guys, Mango just blew a .25! He's going home tonight! He's not actually driving home.
Ludwig is 100% orchestrating all of this, but they're still cheering Mango on. Now, one thing that I find really weird with these public events, and I've seen this time and time again, whenever there's like an IRL stream or some public stream, there are certain streamers that realize that things, they could be misconstrued. It could look bad for them. A great example in this clip as well, in this stream, is Valkyrie and Dug. You can tell they're very uncomfortable around this. I like to call this like self-preservation mode. It's almost like when a streamer realizes they're in a very bad situation, so they need to publicly make it apparent to the camera and to the world that they are not comfortable with this because they know that there is going to be some kind of drama that happens over the next couple of days and they want nothing to do with it. And as well, when Ludwig announces the new PB, everyone cheers because, you know, they kind of have to. If no one cheered and everyone was like openly uncomfortable about it, it would probably kill the entire vibe, because at the same time, what a lot of people seem to get confused as well is this isn't a friends gathering. They want you to think it's a friends gathering, some cute little LAN party, but it's not. It's a public event, and these people, they know that they're on camera. They know they're being filmed. It's almost like you have to act a little bit in character, even if you don't feel fully comfortable doing so. I mean, yeah, if Ludwig said, okay, the alcoholic hit a new PB and no one cheered, I mean, that might have actually been a small moment of self-reflection. Now, I've also seen some people say online that Ludwig did not know about Mango's drinking problem, and because of that, he can't really be held accountable, because how was he able to know that one person would turn up, get absolutely plastered, and then start dry humping people? This is actually a point that Ludwig brought up in his initial statement, which I will get to in a second. However, it is provably false, because in the first 7 minutes, Ludwig actually discusses that Mango usually drinks an excessive amount.
Mango's been practicing drinking beer for a week.
Okay, Mango is like an alcoholic. Mango can drink 30 beers and act the same he does off no beers. He's a machine of a man.
He said he had 7 beers already today.
And also when discussing as well that the Asian women there can't actually drink as much, he uses Mango as an example of someone who can drink a lot.
There are a bunch of small Asian women, which he's right about that. And they can't drink as many beer as, the alcoholics like Yingo, me, and Mango.
So, as I mentioned earlier, Mango basically got himself banned from all future Ludwig events. In the stream recap as well, he also makes some points to not kind of excuse his behavior, but also gives an explanation for it. For example, this is the 3rd time that Ludwig has hosted Beerio Kart, and Mango apparently attended 2 in the past, and he didn't really think this would be any different from previous events. He also noted in the last hour of the stream, Mango did actually get cut off from having anything more to drink.
Oh, also a couple more things. We did cut off Mango on alcohol about an hour before stream ended, but I mean, he went into it really drunk.
Although at that point, he basically already had way too much than what was considered healthy. And he did actually apologize for cheering on Mango's breathalyzer results.
And I also personally apologize. I look back, it's very cringy now, but I was like applauding like him getting new PBs with his blood alcohol, which is like, super poor taste, especially on hindsight. Obviously, that wasn't the intention. The intention is like similar to when we did the Doug challenge with alcohol, where we're getting new PBs on the breathalyzers. It definitely looks way different on hindsight.
Now, what Ludwig did, was it stupid? Was it reckless? 100%. I mean, the one clip from that stream that I still absolutely cringe at is Valkyrie almost kind of self-preservating by, just saying out loud, are we enabling this? Almost to make it apparent that she's uncomfortable, so stream picks up on it so she's not roped into the drama, and Ludwig just kind of pretends he didn't hear it and just keeps going. It's really, really fucking awkward. I'm not gonna lie, but again, that is what happens on these streams. They're not scripted. Anything can happen.
Is this event enabling him?
He's the 2-time champion. He's never lost.
I think people that drink, they've always had that one time where they've done something really stupid or regrettable. The only difference is here, it's a live stream, so it's going to be documented for the rest of eternity. Now, I've seen loads of people, like, for example, Tectone go off on Ludwig, calling him spineless rat bastard and a Hassan minion. I'm sorry, like...
He blames everything on Mango. Absolute spineless rat bastard. And now we know why he's another Hassan minion.
I don't even watch Tectone. I don't. But like just the Hassan minion comment, I don't know. There's just something so funny about that. It's so funny because it literally has nothing to do with anything being mentioned here. Like you're withdrawing rent to make a deposit on another apartment. I mean, this video isn't even an attack on Ludwig. I think personally he dealt with this pretty well. In the moment when he was probably drunk, dealt with it like a moron. But he cleaned up fairly well. He addressed it on stream, didn't try to hide it. I'll be honest, I didn't actually think he addressed any of this. I thought he tried to bury it and do League Week or something. But obviously piecing everything together, he has actually addressed it. Not in a video, which would be much more accessible. Not like a mogul mail or anything like that. It's been addressed like kind of on and off throughout certain streams. That's kind of why it was hard to piece things together. I've seen like people like parrot stuff on Reddit and stuff claiming he said this, he said that, but obviously you can't run with a Reddit comment. You want it to actually be confirmed. Now, there is one point from his initial response that I do want to push back on, and that is if you know anyone that has dealt with addiction before, half the battle is basically recognizing you have a problem. People will cope eternally in their brain. I don't have a problem. I don't do it every day. I just do it when I want to. I can quit anytime I want. Like all the, this laundry list of cope. But genuinely, if you have some kind of addictional problem, acknowledging that you have a problem is like that. Most people don't even get that far. And I do think it is incredibly naive of Ludwig to take him at his word. I know that Ludwig later on in the stream does kind of parade around that he is an alcoholic, but Mango tells Ludwig that, he isn't an alcoholic or he doesn't have a drinking problem. And Ludwig just kind of runs with that, lets him into the event, because obviously if, Mango said, no, I am an alcoholic, he would have just been banned from the event. And then people around him would try and stop stop him because obviously they want him to get better. Alcoholism isn't something that makes you act or ask rationally at all. So at this point, a new player has entered the game. This is Mango's wife, and she actually took to Twitter. And she had a few choice words to say about Ludwig, pretty much saying that Ludwig enabled him. He should have been more careful hosting an event like this. And these were posted after Mango got dropped by his companies and affiliates. However, people then got mad at her for shifting the blame of what Mango did onto Ludwig. But then it actually came out that nobody actually told Mango's wife what he had done, leading her to kind of delete her Twitter account. Now, for the first couple of days after Ludwig's pretty quick response on stream, it was radio silence. Now, Ludwig isn't like me or you. We're normies. He's not. He has a CEO mindset, wakes up 6 a.m. in the morning, does a 10K run, makes $15 million a year. He basically has an incredibly long list of things to do, like events, sponsored streams, and a lot of people got mad because he basically didn't stop doing his streams. He went and did a League of Legends stream for a week, and then also a Cowboy Bebop crossover that his company was running. Now, after Ludwig addressed it, like I said, it was a bit of radio silence. And obviously, you have the irony of when a content creator that covers drama gets into drama themselves. I know Ludwig doesn't really run the Mogul Mail account that much anymore. If anything, in the past, he said he's hated it. But there's always an irony between YouTubers doing a rat race to cover drama, and then at the same time, when they're involved in their own drama, they usually take time to respond, which makes complete sense. I don't think anyone should ever be rushed into doing a response. But a couple of hours ago, Ludwig did actually come back to talk more in depth about what happened. In this update, he talks about how him and Mango are still friends. They still talk to each other.
Because I am still friends with him.
And Mango basically personally asked Ludwig to not speak about the situation. It's really obvious the guy is just absolutely mortified and embarrassed about what he did. And apparently he's working on bettering himself. He's 1 day sober. And Ludwig respected his wishes, which is why he didn't address the situation. I mean, he did address the situation. He kind of had to, but he didn't go into like more finer detail, I guess.
And I have some thoughts and opinions that I thought about speaking, but he asked of me to not speak on it. And I think that's a fair request. He said, I want to take it on the chin. He's spending time with his kid. He started day one of not drinking yesterday.
Now, the problem is with this situation, it has ended up becoming political, which you may have noticed on YouTube. A lot of things are starting to become political lately. You're either a left-wing wokeoid, or you're right-leaning Richard and you've unplugged from the Matrix. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is I've seen the narrative online that if you defend any of Ludwig's actions here, or even accept like him taking any responsibility, you are a
Hassan minion.
I love that word, bro. I love that word so much. I've said it like 3 times in the video. I love it. My personal opinion here, when I saw Ludwig originally address this, I was like, this sucks. This is a really lame way to address this. You're almost like distancing yourself from this guy, acting like, you know, it was an unforeseen event. I think there was one part where Ludwig said on his initial stream, acknowledging it, like, you know, if one person didn't have a good time, it's a failed event. And it's kind of just giving off like media training speak a little bit. It's a little bit cringe.
One person has a bad time, it's a failed event in my mind.
But at the same time as well, it is kind of unforeseen because it's a live stream. There's no script. You have alcohol, which is literally the only drug in the world that inherently makes people more stupid, more angry, and then that can lead to more unpredictable things. And then also as well, you have the fact that an actual alcoholic was invited, and that has led to all of this spiraling. So I will be honest, Ludwig's initial acknowledgement, I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of pushing it to the side a little bit. And then the fact as well that, you know, he just kind of kept streaming like nothing happened. But thankfully, he did do kind of a follow-up stream talking about it. Also bringing up Tectone as well. I can tell that Ludwig does not like Tectone, mostly because Tectone is making a killing right now talking about Ludwig.
There's a perception of Mango that people have in their mind, but they don't actually care about him. He was messaging me. He was like, Tectone followed me. Who the f is Tectone? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not a very genuine pursuit of the people who speak on Mango's behalf. And I know that because I speak to Mango.
Giving my like last personal take, I think there are levels to any career. There are levels to, you know, singing, to acting. There are levels to, oh my, wait a minute. Oh my God, wait a minute, bro. I had Ludwig's channel in the background. Is that Echo 2K? Is that E from Echo 2? Who did that? That's based. No, never mind. I'm full Ludwig Glazer now. What the hell? The point I'm trying to make is there are levels to it, right? And Ludwig is infinitely more relevant and famous than you are, I am, and most of the people watching this video. And when you're at that level, unfortunately, you do become a bit more kind of corporate, a little bit more clinical, sterilized, because you kind of have to be. You have to be as applicable to as many people as possible. So when a drama like this happens, it's kind of like, I can't pause everything because I have so many events going on and so many things that I've planned. But what's my takeaway from this? Ludwig is a Hassan minion.